Hello, and welcome to another edition of Facebook Live from the TCU Office of Admission. My name is Heath Einstein, and I have the great pleasure of serving TCU as Dean of Admission. And we have a wonderful program planned for you tonight. Like all of our Facebook Live sessions and all of our programs on campus, we start with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge all Native peoples who have been here since time immemorial, and we are especially grateful to the Wichita and affiliated tribes upon whose ancestral homeland TCU is located. The next time you're on campus, please do visit a beautiful monument that is right between Reed Hall and Jarvis Hall. That is a monument to the Wichita and affiliated tribes. And it is wonderful to welcome so many friends from all over the country and in fact, all over the world. Hello, Ana Maria Rincones from Mexico. We've got Juliana from South Carolina, Suzanne from here in Fort Worth, and folks from all over. And it is wonderful because it is so reflective of our diverse community here at TCU. If you have been with us before, you know that this is an unscripted program. What that means is we're going to say things just kind of off the top of our heads. And hopefully we get it right. We usually do. But I'll speak for a few minutes. I'll invite our wonderful guest to speak for a few minutes. And then we want to open it up to questions, any questions that you might have. We asked questions via our social media channels prior to this event. And we got some great submissions that we're going to answer those. But please go ahead and pop in your questions right now into the comment section. Over the course of our time together, we're going to get to as many of those as possible. The topic tonight is the College of Education here at TCU, one of my favorite colleges. Dean Hernandez, don't tell any of the other colleges that. But if we veer into other aspects of admission, that's okay too, because of course it is mid-April and we've got our May 1 national candidate reply date coming right up. So lots to discuss. Before we jump in, I do want to say a couple of thank yous. There's some folks helping us behind the scenes. You don't see them right now, but they are there. Rob Berline from the Office of Alumni Relations and Jenny Moore from the Office of Admission are making sure this whole thing happens. So thank you both very much. And a very special announcement. I want you to know that you're not just participating in any old Facebook Live session. That's right. This is an award-winning Facebook Live. That's right. We at TCU, for the Office of Admission, for this event, and you have participated for months and months and months, recently received a gold award in the 38th Annual Educational Advertising Awards. So thank you for making this an award-winning event. And now I can confidently, some people say award-winning, but there aren't actually awards to go with it. But we're going to get like a little Dundee. If anyone ever watched The Office, remember the Dundies? We're going to get one of those to hang in the Mary Wright Admission Center. Okay. I am going to stop talking now because I have a very special guest with me, Dean Frank Hernandez, who is the Dean of the College of Education here at TCU. Welcome, Frank. It's so good to have you here. And I would love for you to just share a little bit about yourself and then about the college before we jump into our questions.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Thank you, Heath. This is very exciting. I've never been on an award-winning Facebook Live show, so I feel very special. So thank you for the invitation. But just a little bit about me. I'm in my third year as the Dean of the College of Education here at TCU and started the summer of 2020 during the middle of COVID. And so as you can imagine, we've come a long ways. And I'm just thrilled and excited to be here. And in the short time that I've been here, I've learned just incredible, amazing things about the work of our college. And I'd love to share a few highlights with all of you today. First, I want to start off by just saying quickly that we're just not another ordinary College of Education. We've actually been nationally recognized with numerous awards. One particular award in 2020 was given to us by the Association of Teacher Education. We were one of the distinguished teacher education programs, which was really incredible and really recognized the hard work of both of our students and our faculty and staff. In 2015, The Association of Colleges of Teacher Education, AACTE, also awarded us for the work that we do in multicultural education and diversity. And so we're really proud of that, and we continue to get recognized nationally and statewide for the amazing work that we're doing. But let me tell you just a few highlights, and then maybe highlight around 2 or 3 major programs that we have in the college. One of the things that I want to share with you is that we're the only college of education in the country with 2 laboratory schools, Kinder Frogs and Starpoint, both serving young children with Down syndrome, and then Starpoint serving students with dyslexia. And what's really amazing is that every one of our teacher education students in our college get to engage and interact with both of those schools. And so many of our students talk about that was a highlight of their career and their education experience here. The other thing that we sort of really enjoy and appreciate about our college is that many of our students talk about the study abroad opportunities that they get in our college and the financial support we offer them. We have reestablished those study abroads. We've taken trips last year, and we'll take trips again this coming year. 100% of our students pass the state exam in our teacher education program, which we're incredibly proud of. 80% of our students who begin teaching in DFW stay and are retained, which we're really excited about. 100% of our teachers are placed in schools. And nearly 100% of our students who graduate from the College of Education are successful in getting into graduate school, which I think many of those things point to the quality of our students, to the quality of our faculty. They're experts in their field. They know lots of amazing things. And because of the size of our school, they know things like your name, right? And which is really important and really critical. Let me highlight just 3 really quick programs that we're really proud of. One of them is our new program that we'll be launching this fall called the TCU Teacher Residency Program. We are launching a new teacher residency program where our teacher candidates will spend their entire senior year in a school with a district partner. This district partner is Fort Worth ISD. In addition to having their coursework embedded and integrated into that residency program, they'll be learning from rock star teachers in the district, engaging in every aspect of what it means to be a teacher, and also earning a salary, $22,000 living stipend for them as they complete their senior year and their coursework. We're really excited about this program because what we're learning from the research is that those students who are participate in teacher residencies are prepared on day one in a way that other teachers may not be, or other students. We still have our traditional undergraduate program, which will continue. One of the new aspects of that teacher education program, both in the college and in the teacher residency program, is there's a heavy focus on the science of learning. So our teacher candidates are graduating with a deep understanding of the cognitive principles of how children learn, how children transfer information from short-term to long-term memory, and how to really help students connect the dots. The other thing I really want to quickly also state about a program that we have that really is attractive to students and families is our accelerated master's program. This coming year is the first time that students, when they apply to TCU, can also apply to our accelerated master's program, which is a 4+1. You, in addition to getting a bachelor's degree, within 1 year after that, you get your master's degree. And you can get your master's degree in programs like language and literacy or science education, special education. And so we're really thrilled and excited about that because in addition to the credits that you take your senior year, those also transfer into your master's year. And then finally, the Youth Advocacy and Education Studies program, which I think is really unique for our college. These are students who want to be in education, work with adolescents and families and communities, but not necessarily want to be a teacher. And so it's a thriving program where we have students who do multiple internships, who work with nonprofits. We have a number of students that have gone to law school from that program. And so it's another way of staying connected with youth and community. And it's a thriving and really engaging program that we're really excited about and that students across the university also consider. So there's a lot of really other amazing things that hopefully we'll get to as we get to questions and get to explore a little deeper about the college. But those are some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you initially.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean Hernandez. Okay, so I want to ask the first question that came to us via social media ahead of our session tonight. A student asks, what classes should I take as an incoming first year for early childhood education? And I know, of course, we've got degree plans for all the programs, but what would you advise a student in this situation?
Yeah. So, students that are incoming first year and are in early childhood education, there's a number of courses that they can actually engage in right away that introduce them both to education, to curriculum, schools, society. It introduces them to some of our faculty members, which oftentimes really gets them even more excited. But some of those are, for example, critical literacy in children's literature. This is a course that actually a lot of students take, but first year early childhood education students, it's a class that they can take that immerses them in children's literature, looking at different genres of children's literature, looking at critical issues that are facing our children and families today. And so it may be, children's literature about issues related to families, issues related to race or social class or other kinds of things. But it's an opportunity for them to engage in children's literature in a way that they might study the Holocaust and how that's taught through children's literature and those kinds of things. Another class is child and adolescent development. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is students really having an understanding of how do children and adolescents develop. How do they actually begin to learn new things? What is it about them in terms of how they develop from, potentially very young children to elementary students, and then as they work their way through middle school? So that's another popular course that our first year students would take. And then another one is critical investigations, which is a really popular class where students really get excited about what they're going to be doing in the College of Education. And this is a course that looks at multiple topics, current events around education, looking at different things from technology to things to expect in a classroom, looks at teaching and learning from different perspectives. And so that class is also one that's really popular, and that one of our most popular professors, Kirby Alexander, teaches. We get such amazing compliments and reviews on his teaching. They're just thrilled to death. And then the other one is really schools, curriculum, and society. And that's a course that really takes a broad look at what do we know about schools and about society and about curriculum and how all those things are integrated. What do we know about the kinds of communities that children come from, the ways, different types of schools that exist in our society? And then what do we understand about curriculum and instruction and assessment in a way that can really introduce students to sort of a foundational piece of understanding education, but also that they'll get to build on as they take more and more classes as they matriculate to their sophomore, junior, and senior years. So those are some of the courses.
Yeah. Well, so speaking about courses, I'm wondering, because we might have families who are joining us this evening or this morning, depending on where in the world you are, who have students or who are students in high school, not seniors, but maybe underclass persons in high school, and they're thinking about course selection for next year. So if you're a high school 11th grader or 10th grader, and you know that you might want a career in education, what are some classes that you would advise a high school students to take that's going to put them on the best path toward success in college?
Yeah, so, I think there's certain courses in high school that you really need to take that are going to help you be successful in college, regardless of what degree you might, or what direction or what major and those kinds of things. But in the College of Education, if there's an opportunity to take a child development that maybe your school might offer, if there's an opportunity, many students might take dual credit or early college high school courses. Many high schools now have education tracks or pathways. And so if your high school is offering courses around introduction to foundations of education, or if your high school is offering child and adolescent development, or if your child or your school is offering courses, let's say, for example, you're interested in going into middle school or secondary and you want to teach math, or you want to teach science, or you want to teach language arts. It's critical that you get as much science and much math or as much language arts in your high school so that when you come here, you really have a good sound understanding of that content. Let's say, for example, you want to be a history teacher, right? And your high school offers, Western civilization, offers US history, offers world history, offers an advanced placement course looking at Europe in the 1800s. Those are the kinds of courses that will really set a strong foundation for you in the content that you want to teach. Because one of the things that we know and that we're learning is that the best teachers that are working in schools today are those teachers that have a deep understanding of the content that they're teaching, that they know a lot about history, they know a lot about social studies, and know a lot about math and those kinds of things. So, and then just sort of, the other kind of courses would be courses that you're really interested in, that you want to expand your horizons. So if there are foreign language courses that you want to take, there's a great need for bilingual teachers. So if you want to take foreign language, or you speak another language other than English, and that's something that you want to do as a teacher or as a nonprofit leader, be sure to really think about those foreign language courses, because they will play a huge role in your college career and will really set you on a path to be able to bring and contribute to the kind of work that you want to do as an educator.
Thank you for that really thought-provoking response, because now I'm wondering about students who know they want to study education, and you talked just now about the need for having deep understanding of course content. Do you, and I should know this, do you require or encourage students who are pursuing degrees in education to minor in something outside the college of education, a history, math, Spanish, something else?
Yeah, so many of our students have minors or even double major. And this is particularly true of our students who study and want to get a license in middle school or secondary education. So, for example, we have students who now double major both in science and licensure, right, in secondary science education. We have students who could double major in history and also get their license to teach high school or middle school social studies. We have students who are able to major in math and also major in a secondary or middle school licensure to teach math. So that is not uncommon for students who are doing middle school or secondary licensure training, because it's important for them to have that content and the education background, and many of them will double major. Other students, for example, like youth advocacy and education studies students, a new degree that we have in our college is the interdisciplinary inquiry degree. Many of those students will get minors that really complement their degree and their major program, and we encourage them to be able to do that. So, for example, if we have a student who's graduating in YAs, majoring in YAs, our youth advocacy education studies, who really want to potentially work or go to law school or work at a law center supporting youth and those kinds of things, they might get a minor in criminal justice or in other kinds of courses that would help complement that degree. So, so the answer to your question is that it's not unusual for middle school and secondary students, for YAs and interdisciplinary inquiry students. The graduates that we have in our EC6 program, which is our early childhood education, the 6th grade program, because that program is so restricted from the state in terms of how many courses they have to take in credits, it's sometimes very difficult for them to also have another major or even sometimes a minor. But if students want them, we'll work very hard to help them get what they need before they graduate from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dean Hernandez, I have possibly the most difficult question that you're going to
Oh,
have tonight.
no.
You may be familiar that we have a tradition here on this program of dad jokes. Okay. So
Oh,
I've got a question for you. Let's see if you see if you know the answer. Okay. At what time do most people go to the dentist? At what time do most people go to the dentist? It's okay to pass.
I'm trying to think of a possible answer. At what time do most people go to the dentist? During molar time.
I like that answer. No, this is a time that's actually on the clock. It's at 2:30.
Oh,
2:30 every that's the best time to go. Um, yes. Okay. We have a question from Jody Castano, who asks, if you don't take a standardized test, how does that affect you for scholarships? So this is a more general admission question that I'm happy to answer. Jody, the answer is that we, as a test optional school, admit many students who do not submit tests and give scholarships to many students who don't submit a test. So the absence of a test score is not precluding a student from earning an academic scholarship at TCU. Now, a strong score, a score that enhances the student's profile, will certainly help. But because we have this do no harm policy, the absence of a score isn't going to hurt your chances to be admitted to the university, as long as you've got strong grades on the other side to support your candidacy. So thank you for asking that question. Okay, Dean Hernandez, you talked about in your opening students in the College of Education who study abroad. Can you tell us what options education students have? Can they go to any of the programs that TCU offers in our in programs? Do they typically go to sort of an out of network program? What's common or what's allowable?
We allow students to study abroad across all the colleges and schools in any program that TCU offers. Many times our students will want to go with other friends from other colleges and other schools, and we allow that. However, sometimes we also offer study abroad programs specific to the College of Education and teaching and learning. So, for example, last year we had 2 trips that we took, and one of them was to Italy. And the trip was really focused on, education, teaching and learning, really taking an opportunity to think about, education in Italy, visiting schools, talking with teachers. And so it's very focused on sort of this international comparative education understanding of how do schools across the globe sort of differ from schools in the United States or even in Texas. What does the curriculum look like and the instruction and the assessment that happens there? We think that we encourage all of our students to take advantage of study abroad. And what we have heard from our students, from many of them, that it's life-changing for them. And so we've been fortunate enough also to be able to have resources to support both our undergraduate and our graduate students who study abroad. We have a graduate study abroad trip that's coming up in May. And if some undergraduate students were interested, they potentially could go, and that is going to London. And it's really looking at comparative education, both at K-12 and higher education. And so, we think that this is a critical piece of the experience of our students in the College of Education. So we make sure that they're knowledgeable about study abroad opportunities. We make sure that they know that we have resources to support them when they travel within the study abroad offered by the College of Education for College of Education students. In fact, not this year, but next year, we are looking at proposing a trip to the Galapagos Islands to look at the ways in which schools practice sustainability and the ways in which the Ministry of Education in the Galapagos Islands thinks about teaching and learning. One thing that you may not know is that every single school in the Galapagos Islands is required to have a garden. and students take care of this garden because sustainability and protection of the parks are so critical and important. And so we think those kinds of opportunities, not only for our students, but across the university, would be really valuable to them around, things like sustainability, educational sustainability. What does that mean? What does it mean to be educated inside an incredible national park, right?
Mm.
And those kinds of things. So we love those opportunities. We encourage our students to go, and we've also know that they've been life-changing for some of our students.
Yes, and potentially life-changing for chaperones of the trip if you need any. I'm just saying. That sounds pretty awesome.
Cool with chaperones, but
oh, sure.
we can do.
We'll see if you're ever invited back to this thing. Okay, so I'm curious about the hiring process for students once they leave. We've got this wonderful 100% pass rate. What does it look like? Because it's so different for teachers than it is maybe for other professions. How does it work, and what guidance is given from faculty and staff in the college as students are gearing up for leaving TCU and going out into the workforce?
Yeah, so we actually spend a lot of time with our students, helping them understand what is that interview process like? What is it that districts really want to see in a potential teacher? What are the things that you've been trained in and know how to do, and make sure that you articulate those things for the person who might be interviewing you. So for our candidates, we tell them, you know what, you can go anywhere and teach. You've been trained at a top university, you've been trained in an amazing award-winning college of education, and so you have lots of choices. And so part of it is finding for yourself, do I want to work in a big city school district in an urban community with Title I schools? Do I want to work in a rural community? Do I want to go back to where I went to school and work as a teacher in that community? And so really set your sights on what is it that you want to do and where you want to work and how successful you want to be. And then enter the interview as much as you can, understanding what your values and beliefs and the difference you can make as a teacher with students, being able to articulate that, and also being able to show the interviewer that you are trained, that you understand how children learn, you understand the science of learning, you have had these amazing, incredible experiences that will impact the students that you're working with. And then we also talk with them a little bit about sometimes schools will hire you, districts will hire you, but they don't know where you'll be placed or what grade level you're going to have just yet, because they're still trying to. So what we have helped our students understand is that you need to be adaptable and you need to be patient, because sometimes districts are trying to figure out where the openings are and those kinds of things. But for us, it's like, being confident in your skills and the knowledge that you have, regardless of what program it's from, whether it's YAYS or whether it's teacher education, whether it's our interdisciplinary inquiry program, whether it's a high school math teacher. And then the other final thing that we try to impress upon them is that there's a need for really incredible teachers. And so sometimes you can negotiate things like salary, like a signing bonus, like other kinds of things. So it's important to be able to engage in those kinds of conversations and not shy away from doing that. Because sometimes it's hard for people to say, is the pay negotiable? Because I'm coming in as a high school math or science teacher, and we know that those are hard to fill areas, right? So it's okay to ask those kinds of things. We just recently had a hiring fair here at the TCU campus, where our students went and did interviews on the spots and got job offers on the spot. Yeah. So what we hear from our colleagues that work in school districts across DFW is that they can't wait for our candidates to go on the job market. And honestly, before they even graduate, like in a situation right now, many of our teacher candidates already have jobs. And so we are pleased with that. So they're competitive. And part of what our responsibility is now is to follow them and to see, hey, how was it after your first year? How was it after your third year? What are some feedback that you can get us so we can continually improve our program that we have? So those are the kinds of things that we talk about as we think about going on the job market.
Wow. I could have sworn I heard you say signing bonus. That's unbelievable.
There are a number of school districts across this state and other states who, I mean, literally, if you are teaching math or science, a $5,000 signing bonus. If you are bilingual, a $5,000 signing bonus. In fact, for example, if you graduated from Fort Worth ISD school and you came to TCU and got your degree and you went back to Fort Worth ISD schools, you would get an added, you would get additional funds in your compensation because it's sort of like this coming home bonus that you get.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Helping
so
out your community. Yeah.
Yeah. So districts have been really thinking about what gives them the competitive edge and what can they do to attract more teachers to their district. And I may be a little biased, but especially true for the graduates of TCU's College of Education. They are amazing, and districts want them and want them badly.
Dean Hernandez, I want to ask you about something that I know you're very passionate about, and that is our Maestro program. Can you tell folks what Maestro is and why we started it and everything about it?
Yeah, so this really came from really my own personal story. Growing up in my entire K-12 education, I had one Latino male teacher in 7th grade, Mr. Valerio. He's the only teacher I ever had that was a Latino male. And the connection and the inspiration that I got for him was overwhelming to me. And even as an adult, I kept thinking about him and the impact that he had on me and some of my Latino and African-American friends in school. Like, he was just incredible. And what we learned is that we don't actually have very many Latino male teachers. In fact, some of the research points to there's one white female teacher for every 15 students in this country, and one Latino male teacher for every 600 students in this country. And so one of the things that I did is I came to the faculty and said, hey, what if we were a little more intentional and thoughtful about bringing in more Latinx male students to go into teaching and really sort of develop this Maestro program so that they can see that we really value the kinds of experiences and the knowledge and the commitment to education they're bringing, so that we can be much more deliberate about having more Latinx and also diversifying our teaching force, because we know that there are very few men going into education compared to females, right, women, and it also increases the propensity that maybe there's more teachers that might be able to speak a second language, right, in the school. And so we currently have, I believe, close to 7 maestros. We have maestro students that are applying now, that have applied, that will start with us in the fall. We are particularly working with Tarrant Community College, that is a close partner to us, and other community colleges who might be listening. Now, we'd love to engage you in a partnership so that we can seamlessly transfer not only maestros, but all of the students from your community college who want to come to TCU and be teachers. But it really came from this personal story about just not seeing enough male Latino teachers. And so instead of sort of saying, hey, come to us if you're a male Latino, we thought, let's develop a program. Let's really think deeply about how do we attract, Latinx male students into teaching. And so we're engaging. We visited high schools in Tarrant County to talk about this program. We have students here that we're meeting with now, supporting them as well as supporting our other students. So it's a program that you're going to be hearing a lot more about. And we think it could be a game changer for the students that we're graduating from the TCU College of Education.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of Tarrant County College, we actually have a question from Ethan Yu, who says, I'm a current college student at TCC in Fort Worth, graduating this upcoming May. I haven't applied to TCU because I was never, I never thought I'd be able to attend or be accepted. And I want to know if there are other forms of financial aid offered at TCU. Would you recommend that I still apply for the upcoming fall semester? So Ethan, thank you for your great question. Our transfer application is still open, and I would still strongly encourage you to apply for the fall semester, especially if you're going to have your associates by the end of the spring. You don't want to lose time. You want to go right into the bachelor's degree plan. So we are still admitting students for the fall for our from our transfer applicant pool. We do offer financial aid both on the need and academic scholarship side. So I always tell students, don't let the cost of attendance deter you from applying. You need to see what the net cost is going to be after you apply for aid and look at all scholarship opportunities that the university provides. A member of our transfer team would be happy to talk to you, so don't hesitate to reach out. You can call the Office of Admission anytime, 817-257-7490. You could also email transferfrog at tcu.edu. So thanks very much for that great question.
Could I also add one more thing to that?
Please, yes.
And that is that the College of Education is finalizing an articulation agreement with TCC for students who have completed their Associate of Arts of Teaching, where all of their courses that they've gotten and earned transfer into the College of Education. So those students would not have to repeat any courses at all. And we are trying to create a more seamless transfer so that so we've had TCC students come to campus. We've gone to their university campuses. And so, in addition to our traditional undergraduate students, our transfer students are really important and critical to us. And we're trying to create a seamless transition where all of their courses transfer in, they get credit for it, and they're able to graduate within 4 years, depending on whether they do the 4+1, it would be 5 years. But we think they're a great partner, and we're excited every time we get transfer students in our college.
That's so good to hear. Transfer students are such a critical and vibrant part of the TCU community. I think especially in comparison to other universities that we tend to overlap with, we have a higher percentage of our undergraduates who come through that transfer route. Roughly 400 students each fall semester come to TCU as transfer students, another 150 or so in the spring semester. So by no means are you alone if that's the path you choose to get to TCU. So thank you. Okay. We just finished yesterday the Masters golf tournament. It's one of the 4 major golf tournaments of the year. And so that leads me to my next question, Frank, which is, why would a golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? Why would a golfer wear 2 pairs of pants?
In case they get a hole in one of them.
You got it. Okay, that's really great.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you play golf?
I do not play golf, but I did watch the last 15 minutes of the Masters.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, that counts for something. Very good. Okay. We were just talking about salaries, and I want to continue with that because I think sometimes education gets a bad rap. People were like, "Oh, I don't want to become a teacher because I'm not going to get paid very well." The numbers that I've seen suggest quite the opposite. You can have a really nice starting salary. It's a very stable career. Can you talk about, just generally speaking, compensation in the career of someone in education?
Yeah. So there are teachers right now working in public schools in Tarrant County making $90,000 to $100,000 a year, which, I mean, I think that's a pretty good salary. Starting salaries, even in Fort Worth, range from somewhere to $55,000 to $65,000 a year. In addition to the salaries, there's also, of course, the retirement system, right? That folks can also contribute to, and most districts will contribute. So I think what we're finding is that, in not to go down a different direction, but one of the things that the pandemic taught us was that schools play a critical role in the normacy of our community and in the economy of our community. And teachers play a significant role in that. And so, we do need to continue to think about compensating our teachers more because of the work that they do. But there are many districts that have competitive salaries. There are teachers could also work and teach in summer school, which makes additional money. We have graduates from our college who coach, who lead bands, who do other kinds of things for additional compensation. And so, in addition to compensation, I always tell our candidates that are graduating that you're also a leader in the community. You're also someone who is, are seen as a leader because of the influence that you have on the next generation of students. I mean, one of the things that I tell people is that if I asked you, who were the people who made a difference in your life, who were really inspirational to you, most of us would probably say a parent or a grandparent. But after the parent and the grandparent, many of us say a teacher. A teacher was someone who really touched our lives and was inspirational for us. And so we know that they make a difference. So we know that they need to be compensated appropriately. But again, part of it is looking at the different districts that you can work at, looking at what their salary schedule looks like, looking at the kinds of raises that teachers might get. And then the other thing to think about is, and of course, we think staying in teaching is really critical and important, but we also know that there are leadership opportunities to come to teachers. So, you might someday come back and get a master's degree in language and literacy and land a job as the director of language arts in the school district. And all of a sudden you're making $80,000 or $90,000. You might decide someday that you really want to be a school principal after teaching, 7 or 10 years. You get your master's and your license in educational leadership. All of a sudden you're making $110,000, right? Most of the superintendents that I know started out as teachers, right? Some of them are making a couple $100,000 a year, some 300,000 to 400,000. But so there are opportunities to move through the district in different kinds of roles that compensate folks differently. But I do think it's a good market to be a teacher today. And part of it is doing some research and really understanding how compensation works and what are the additional benefits that come with it. And so that's sort of how I would sort of think about it and help students and families understand. The other thing really quickly is this is why we do our best to raise funds for our college. We have a number of endowments. We have a number of endowed scholarships. On average, I think this was 2 years ago, our students who graduate from the College of Education leave on average around $24,000 in debt, which means that some students are higher than that and some students are lower than that. And so what we try to do when we speak with donors and with folks who want to give to the College of Education, we say, look, it's important that all of our students leave with as little debt as possible. And that's possible if you give to endowed scholarships and other kinds of ways so that we can then award that to our students because we think it's important for them to be able to graduate, go into a job in education, and not feel the stress or overwhelmed by having to pay lots of debt. And so it's a priority for us, and we continue to find ways to offset the costs for them.
Frank, you touched on students who graduate from the College of Education, and as an example, you gave those who then work in Fort Worth ISD or other ISDs in the area. Michelle Higginson asks, how do advancement opportunities or salary benefits differ for someone looking to teach at a private school as compared to a public school?
Yeah, so we in fact have students who have taught in private schools, and depending on the private school, the compensation could be different. And so my understanding is that outside of a few selected private schools, most often the public school compensation might be a little higher than teachers who might be going into the private school. And it doesn't mean that, I mean, we have some amazing private schools in Tarrant County and Fort Worth and some amazing, credible public schools as well. And so sometimes the pay will be different depending on the size of the school, depending on the grade level of the school, depending on, the specialty that you have. For example, math and science teachers in private schools are probably getting paid a little bit more because sometimes you have to pay them more to attract them to your position. Um, the private school setting might be different from a public school setting. The successes and the challenges may be different. And so part of it is doing your research again, that if you want to work in a private school, or you want to work in a rural school, or if you want to work in a suburban school or an urban school, do your research and find out about the district, find out about the schools, find out about the compensation, find out about the opportunities that are given to teachers to not only earn more compensation, but get more training, more professional development, and all of those kinds of things. And we try to help our students to a certain extent, but when push comes to shove, they really need to do their own research to really find out where they believe they'll be most successful in the way that they'll impact students. But I will end with this: regardless of where our graduates go, they've been trained well and they can be successful regardless of the context of the school that they teach at. And so we're really proud of that. And we consistently hear from them that they're prepared well and that they're excited to begin their career. And we're thrilled when we hear that from them.
Awesome. Okay, we've had a couple of questions about some of the just general admission things, is given where we are in our cycle, and I want to get to those. One was from Barbara, who's asking, can we share information about admission totals, applications, and acceptance rate, and so forth? So far, because our application does technically remain open, we've received more than 20,000 applications for first-year admission. 20,000. We're up quite a bit over last year. Interest in TCU is very high. This is a good problem to have. Of course, it makes admission a little bit more competitive. So our acceptance rate right now, and I don't have the breakdown off the top of my head between the different rounds, but overall, our admission rate at the moment is around 40%, close to 41%. It's going to go up a little bit as we've we're in the process of sending out notification to waitlisted students that we may have a little bit of space. So we're probably going to admit a few more students, a few students off of the wait list here in the coming couple of weeks. But I anticipate when all is said and done that we won't have an acceptance rate that's above 50%. I don't think we're actually going to get close to 50% this year. So we continue to be competitive, and TCU is a desirable place to be. And I know we got a question specifically about the wait list as well from Adrian Hernandez, who just said applied for the fall, was offered an opportunity to join the wait list, and wondering about assistance, financial assistance, I think, because, and this is a common question we get for students who are admitted off of the wait list. Okay, but can I still get a scholarship? Can I still get a financial aid package? And the answer is yes. If your academic credentials warrant a scholarship in our system, even if you're admitted off of the wait list, you will still get a scholarship. And I think this points to how competitive it is this year. We had to offer a wait list to many, many students who are perfectly qualified to be admitted to TCU and to thrive at TCU, and we just don't have space for everybody. And what that should suggest to you is that if you do end up coming here, you're going to be surrounded by really high caliber students. And just from the interaction tonight with Dean Hernandez, you're very much going to be surrounded by high caliber faculty and staff and administrators. So thank you for asking those questions. I wanted to get to another question, Dean Hernandez, about our lab schools, Kinder Frogs and Starpoint, which you mentioned, which are just crown jewels of the university, I think. How quickly can a student get involved in that? Do you have to be an education student to get involved, or are there opportunities for non-majors? Can you tell us a little bit more about our wonderful lab schools?
Yeah, they are really, as you said, they're just, hallmarks really of the university. Starpoint has been around since the middle 60s, 1960s, and Kinderfrogs last year turned 20 years of age. And so they, speaking of wait lists, we have waiting lists for both of those schools every single year. But um, there are some programs that are able to engage with Kinderfrogs and Starpoint who are not through the College of Education. Sometimes students who are studying to be speech and language clinicians might go into the lab schools and practice some of their clinicals around speech language, helping students with articulation or other kinds of things. Sometimes we have students who are majoring in music. They're also College of Education majors because they're getting their licensures. Sometimes they will go to Starpoint and Kinderfrogs and do music programs with the students to practice some of their skills. But every one of our EC6 students that come through the College of Education, they will engage with both of those schools. They will spend time in those schools. They will engage with the students, not just saying hi or reading a story to them, but actually engage with the instruction and also look at what the work of the teachers are doing there. We are really pleased with the ways in which some of our students are named Kinderfrog and Starpoint Associates. So sometimes we'll have students who will do the 4+1 master's program in special education, and they actually work in the lab schools as part of their training. They might work there 20 hours a week, which is really amazing and critical. The other thing that our lab schools play a role in is the research work that we do in the College of Education. So one of the things that I haven't mentioned enough about is that our undergraduate students are involved with lots of research opportunities as well as our graduate students. And we have opportunities to conduct research within the lab schools, mostly at Starpoint, where we can then disseminate the research findings to other schools that are similar or to the literature on special education. And so we're really thrilled and excited about the research work that's happening there, the ways in which our students can actually be associates there working 20 hours a week, and then the ways our EC6 students engage with the students as part of their coursework. And so there are students that we have that said, because of Starpoint and Kinderfrogs, I decided that I wanted to be a special education teacher, which is really inspiring and incredible for us. And so, we are to the point where we need a bigger space, honestly. And our hope is that we can continue to connect with the community. It's a good way for us to connect with the community. Families come from all over Tarrant County to come to Starpoint and Kinderfrogs. And it's just an unbelievable opportunity to have on the campus, so close to the College of Education, this opportunity that a student could be in a special education classroom talking about a learning disability, and the next day be at the lab schools to actually witness a child with that learning disability, to really look at what happens in practice with the teacher, to be able to connect that theory and practice, which is really critical for us. So yeah, it's sometimes when I just need to get away from my office, that's the place I go, to just sort of hang out at the lab schools a little bit, because they have good treats there too. So
well,
it's a great place.
that is inspiring. You're 100% right, and likewise, your words have been inspiring to us tonight, Dean Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope, didn't the hour fly by?
Really fast, and you have no
Yeah.
more jokes, right? You just had
No,
2 jokes.
no, that's it. That's it. Jokes, if you can even really call them that. Thank you so much, and congratulations, by the way, on getting one of those right. So I hope that everyone got a lot out of this session. I know that I did. And please join us next month when our guest is going to be Craig Allen, who is Director of Housing and Residence Life at TCU. There will be a lot to discuss about housing at the university. So until then, have a wonderful evening and go Frogs.
Go Frogs.